Hey there! I drew Ellie from The Last of Us in 4 different styles, and I'll share the timeless process with you while we talk about some interesting facts about the character. Ready? Let's begin with a realistic take on Ellie, based on the Last of Us video game series by Naughty Dog, and this screenshot here as a reference. This style aims to capture the gritty, grounded look that made the game so impactful, the weight in her eyes, the scars that tell a story even before she speaks. It also serves as a warm-up before working on other more simplified styles. I feel like practicing realism helps you see shapes and what makes a character unique before moving on to other stylized drawings. Ellie is one of the most iconic characters in gaming, and her visual design is a huge part of that. From her messy hair and practical clothes to the subtle expressions that reveal her trauma, it's all very intentional. Her character model evolved alongside her voice actor, Ashley Johnson. Not only did she voice Ellie, but she also performed her full body and facial motion capture. This blend of performance and artistry brought Ellie to life in a way that was rare back in 2013 and still stands out today. Even her inability to swim in the first game became a defining trait, turning a game mechanic into a character moment. A super interesting fact is that Ashley Johnson plays Ellie's mother in the HBO series. It's a beautiful passing of the torch moment. By the way, Bella Ramsey, who plays Ellie in the series, is a fantastic actress and I'm really enjoying watching it so far. One of the game's most haunting ideas is how nature reclaims the world. Did you know the cordyceps infection isn't just made up? It's based on a real fungus, Ophiocordyceps, which infects insects, takes over their brains, and forces them to climb up to high places before sprouting out of their bodies. It's kinda gross and creepy, yes, but also believable, which makes the world of The Last of Us feel that much more terrifying. The realism in The Last of Us isn't just in the visuals, it's in the emotional texture, and that's what I'm trying to reflect in this drawing. Ellie's resilience, her anger, and the heaviness she carries. And that emotional intensity is the thing that made this drawing a challenge. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled getting the proportions at first, and even if the finished drawing isn't perfect, I think I got to capture the vibe, the anger, the story, and for me, that's what makes this style so powerful. I think for the next time, I might choose a reference picture that does not have that much shading, because that made it difficult. But I also like a challenge. What do you think? Chibi-anime and Scott Pilgrim-inspired. This one is a huge shift. We're taking Ellie into the world of chibi-anime, with just a little influence from the Scott Pilgrim cartoon aesthetic. She got an oversized head, tiny body proportions, and huge sparkly eyes. But don't let the cuteness fool you. This style might be soft and bubbly on the surface, but I wanted to keep the edge that makes Ellie, well, Ellie. In fact, that contrast is what makes this version so fun to draw. There's something really striking about putting a character known for intensity and trauma into a style built around simplicity and charm. It's a playful version of Ellie, but I didn't want it to feel like a parody. Even in this form, her story matters. Chibi might use less detail, but it has to distill the emotion even more clearly. Every line has to count. It's a kind of cartoon minimalism. You don't have 200 facial muscles to show sadness or rage. You got 2 big eyes, very plain but dramatic eyebrows, and a small mouth. And yet, it works. Just how Scott Pilgrim managed to make breakups feel like boss fights, this style lets us treat Ellie's journey almost like a visual metaphor. She's a survivor, but she's also a kid. That duality, childlike proportions with a scarred face, makes the viewer pause. You laugh a little, but you also feel something. It's cute, but not empty. Some expressions just hit harder when exaggerated. A teardrop becomes comically large, rage turns into flaming pupils, and somehow that makes it even more relatable. Like, it's expressing emotions we all feel, but don't always show. In this version, I imagine Ellie mid-fight, yelling at Joel or charging a clicker with a look that says, "I'm small, but I'll end you." She might look like she belongs in a Saturday morning anime, but you know there's a story behind those eyes. A style like this reminds me that emotion does not always need realism. Sometimes simplifying it makes it even louder. So yeah, Chibi Ellie might be half the size and twice the cute, but her anger, still real. Her pain, still there. And that's why this style, despite how light it looks, still carries weight. She's a little apocalypse gremlin and I love her. Tim Burton-inspired. This time, I imagine Ellie through the twisted gothic lens of a Tim Burton universe. Think Corpse Bride, Frankenweenie, or The Nightmare Before Christmas. In this style, everything becomes exaggerated, spindly, and slightly off balance, like a beautiful nightmare. Ellie's already a dark character in a dark world, so in a way, this one felt oddly natural. But what's fun about the Burton style is how it turns trauma into a surreal poetic design. I gave her a lanky neck, oversized eyes with deep shadows, of course. Burton characters often seem like haunted dolls, caught between childhood and something far more tragic. That captures Ellie's vibe perfectly. She's not a kid anymore, but she never really got to grow up either. In drawing her like this, I wanted to show how she might exist in a world made of crooked houses, foggy woods, and silent graveyards. Burton's worlds are full of lonely outcasts and quiet rebels. Ellie will totally fit into that gothic lineup. Fun fact! In Burton's films, even the saddest characters are treated with a kind of empathy. Victor from Corpse Bride is shy and awkward, but noble. Sally in Nightmare Before Christmas literally puts herself back together. They suffer, but they don't lose their humanity. That's something I try to keep in Ellie too. Her expression in this version isn't too loud or violent, it's quiet and haunted, like someone who's seen too much, but still has a spark left inside. The textures in this style are all about contrast. Pale skin, smudged clothing, and messy thread-like hair that looks like it hasn't been brushed in years. It's stylized but not cartoonish. You can still feel the grit under her nails. It's just drawn with crude lines and neutral tones. There's something about this version of Ellie that feels timeless, like she could wander into any Burton story and fit right in. She might meet Jack Skellington or befriend a skeleton dog, but she still carries that quiet, fierce heart. This style lets me show a different kind of pain, not loud and explosive, but lingering and poetic. A version of Ellie who's stitched together but still standing, and sometimes that's the most haunting kind of strength. Adventure Time inspired. Alright, this version of Ellie is straight out of the land of Ooh! It's Adventure Time style. Big eyes, noodle arms, bright colors, and a whole lot of weird charm. The Adventure Time universe is chaotic, sweet, and totally absurd, but it also sneaks in surprisingly deep emotional moments. And that's exactly what I thought it'd be fun to drop Ellie into that world. At first glance, this design is all fun. She's smaller, rounder, and more expressive. I gave her that classic Adventure Time face, but if you look closer, she's still very much Ellie. She might live in a post-apocalyptic candy kingdom now, but she hasn't forgotten what she's been through. And that contrast, it makes the emotion hit even harder. I don't know if you have watched it, but Adventure Time is full of characters who've survived weird wars, lost loved ones, or been alive for centuries, like Marceline the Vampire Queen. She's silly and musical and totally goofy, but she's also got trauma. And I think Ellie fits into that world perfectly. In this style, I imagine her wandering across bright, surreal wastelands, singing goofy songs on her guitar, battling mutant fungus monsters made of bubblegum, and still carrying that fierce loyalty underneath it all. One of my favorite things about Adventure Time is how it handles emotion without losing its weirdness. Characters cry, get mad, forgive, break down, all while still being cartoons. So for this drawing, I wanted to keep Ellie's expression. Eyebrows fully frowned in anger, mouth downturned. The humor doesn't erase her pain, it just makes it more approachable. And that's kind of what Ellie does too, right? She tells jokes to cope. In the game, she carries around a little joke book. That's canon. She cracks puns even after surviving the end of the world. So in this style, that goofy sense of humor is dialed way up, but it comes from the same place. If she had a partner in this universe, maybe it'd be a sarcastic talking mushroom with a crossbow or something. The rules are loose, the emotion is real, and that's the magic of Adventure Time. So yeah, this version of Ellie might be a small noodle arm survival in a candy-coated wasteland, but she's still tough, still brave, and still totally herself. Just a little weirder, and maybe a bit more huggable. And that's Ellie, reimagined in 4 totally different styles. Let me know which one you'd take with you into the apocalypse. If you want to see something totally different, I also drew Minecraft Steve in 4 styles. And yes, Anime Steve is somehow a thing. Hit the link and prepare your eyeballs. See you there!